Today I decided to change things up a bit and present a how-to video. Recently, Titans Season 4 was released on Blu-ray, manufacturer on demand. WB Discovery did not put a lot of love into it, to say the least. It infuriated me to see that it did not include a slipcover. So what happened then? I decided to do it myself. So I did make a custom slipcover for Titans, and I saw SymbioticLegion's video, very helpful tutorial that I'll put a link of in the description below. Today I wanted to present you a similar tutorial to SymbioticLegion, as well as a how-to and how to cut it and glue it together. And I decided to do this so it can match the library. I was a little bit off on dimensions, and sometimes, yes, you will make mistakes. You might not be perfect. For my first slipcover, I glued it, and I didn't glue it all the way down. So when I tried that, I got some super glue on my hands with gloves, and it damaged the ink on my first try. However, though, these slipcovers will not be for sale for me. So don't ask me about buying these slipcovers. I also recommend don't go and pirate movies and sell slipcovers. This is for movies you already have personally that you feel like need slipcovers. This is a tutorial for you. This is a tutorial for filmmakers who feel like they need to make their own custom slipcovers for films they make to their friends and family and clients. This is a tutorial for you. So I'm going to show you how to do this with glossy photo paper. You can also use cardstock paper, and you can have a photo printer, but usually you can have an inkjet or a laser printer. I had an HP inkjet that was old that did it just fine. Make sure you have a lot of ink because it does take color out of it. But here is a brief tutorial on how to do this. Okay, so here when you open Photoshop, there's different templates you can use. Try doing custom, and then make sure when you're on the width that it's in inches. Now you can choose whatever measurement you want to choose, but let's go inches. So you enter 5.327 for the width, and then 6.753 for the height. Now your Blu-ray or DVD may change, so measure the dimensions of the case and then put that into the width and height here. And then we do create. Now here we have a blank template. Before we do anything, you can either have the option available for the ruler, or if it's already on here, you just press it. And we're just going to create a little ruler for ourselves. This makes it easier for when we add the side binding dimensions. And then we just make 4 little parts here. So you should have this screen for the front or back cover, whichever you make. We go to image, canvas size. Now here, make sure it's on inches, and then do 0.5, and then click here. It will go out. So it'll be the left. And then we do the same thing here with canvas size, 0.5 on inches, and then we do the opposite. So we would have each of the bindings here, and make sure it's on relative, otherwise the arrows are going to go inward instead of outward. Make sure the relative is on. Then we enter our image. Now for this video I used Titans wallpaper. Make sure the higher the resolution the better, the more it's going to look professional on your printing. Then we're going to put a Blu-ray banner. It can be any type of Blu-ray banner. Now we want to enter different images. So say you want to make it look like the official releases. We get some PNG images, enter them here. But say you want to have a font, right? Okay. Let's do it here. I did the Justice League font. That's the closest I could find to it, even though it's a different one. The complete 4th and final season. Let's just do that. And when we do that, we can then put it here so it'll be like an official it'd be an official seal, so to speak. Let's say the Blu-ray. So we enter the Blu-ray logo. Let's make it small. You can rotate it, do whatever, and if the dimensions are a little bit off, you can go to the transform thing here. I'll show you in a bit, but let's just make it small. You know how when you look at the side binding, it's a little bit small. There we go. And this could apply for anything, or you can just go find cover templates, enter them here, and put a mask here. But I'm just showing you how to do some custom-made stuff here. Yeah, we can do that. And then say we want to copy this. Okay, so let's do image, copy. This will just save some time. This will just save some time instead of just typing everything if you already have something. So there's that. Okay, adjustments, no properties. Transform over here. Then we can just do say 90 degrees. There we go. And then font size can be a bit smaller, say 11. Okay. I might need to make it just a tad smaller, maybe 10. Okay, we can do that. So we got DC Warner Brothers in that. This is not absolutely perfect, but it gives you kind of an idea on what it's like here. You can do copy on the Blu-ray and then edit, paste. Now that we have this, make sure you don't click the cover, but you have this. You don't have to worry about duplicating it. So see this? You see these purple lines, they match. So we can get it exactly even. And once we do that, you might have to mess around with the dimensions. So let's say 1760, maybe 1770. There we go. It looked good. Make sure it looks even and nice. And then just do the same. Do the same and copy them and put them to the other side. And then once you have that, it's all even, then you can either export it, export as PNG or a JPEG, export it and it saves. So once it's saved, it kind of looks like this. You just have a template you can print on it. The challenge with this is sometimes it prints it to full size instead of actual size. So when it's like this, I recommend just going straight to print, get your photo ready. And see here, this is the actual size of the document. It keeps it. So we have print settings. And when you print, make sure it's the same size of paper or whatever you have. And then the media, this is important. Make sure it's either in the cardstock or photo glossy paper. Otherwise, you're going to have the mistake of having ink run off the glossy print. Say if I want to do a back, all you have to do is enter the image. Now, I custom made this, but you can get an image or custom make your own. Put it here. And keep these bindings because we're going to glue this side and this side underneath the overlap side, the front side. So the back and front should match. Once you have your ruler, X-Acto knife, or scissors, get a pencil and just basically mark where the cuts are. And you get an X-Acto knife and just trim along the edges. Now you may have to shave off just a little bit more if it's not perfect, but try to get it as perfect as you can. And I put a lot of line on the front of the program to make sure I know where the binding is. So after you cut the sides, then you go to the back and you have to measure with your ruler where the binding is. And what I do is mark a little line and then mark all the way on the back of it here. So you measure, I mark on the back so you know exactly where to bend. And I usually use a ruler to bend the binding. So I did a little bit of the back of the X-Acto if it doesn't bend, just to make a little bend. I just dully cut it and then bend like so, and you get the front part of the binding bent like a Blu-ray slipcover there. So that's the front part right here, bent over. Looks nice. You're going to do the same to the back and then basically place them together and glue. So here's the back. And again, you just get your ruler, X-Acto knife, or scissors. I use an X-Acto to be more precise. You could use a roto trimmer too, I guess. I guess it would have been more simple. You can use those to cut, and there might be some little bit of like white lines left. You're going to have to just lightly, carefully cut across those. It might not be perfect, or I just do it straight through. I had a small cutting board, and maybe a larger one would be more helpful. Make sure you have a soft surface or a cutting board so you don't damage any furniture with the X-Acto knife. Just shave off if there's any like paper edges still left, just lightly shave them off so it'll be all smooth. Then you do the same measurements, measure for the binding, draw a line, and you bend them against a ruler or a hard surface. And there we have the back and the front. We can connect them now. That's pretty good, so to speak. And I recommend doing this when the ink is dry. Don't do it right away. But here is the Blu-ray. I'm going to kind of try to test it out before you glue it to see if it will fit. It might feel tight, but trust me, the dimensions, if you go by this, is going to fit perfectly if you do it right. And that's just to give it a feel before I glue it in to make sure it feels okay for whatever Blu-ray case you have. So I wore gloves because the super glue can't get on your hands. So what I did first is I got the back binding, and then I put the front binding on it here. We opened up the super glue, and sometimes you might put on too much. With the glossy paper, it can slide off. So just put on just a dab across, little dots across the seam of the back case. And what you're going to do is get the front case after you glue it, carefully overlap it and make sure it is perfectly connected, that it's not too far out, because I did that on my first case. So you just basically lightly press on it and rub your fingers along the edges to make sure everything is okay. And once you do that, just wait for it to dry, hold on to the clamp. Just make sure it's all even there on the front flap. Now the first flap's going to be the easiest. The last flap is going to be a bit more difficult because it's enclosed. So try to get your hands there. And I recommend having multiple forms of gloves because sometimes the glue can get on your hands. Just get different gloves to wear each time on each binding. Otherwise, it's going to hit the ink like I showed you at the beginning of the video. And once you do that, you wait about a good minute to maybe 30 seconds for it to dry. I usually do a good minute and just press along it to make sure it's nice and they're firm. It's hard and glued. It's just nice and even. It looks pristine. It looks professional, like a store-bought slipcover, and let it dry there for a while. And as you can see, you can put the flap down. Make sure it bends okay. And then you do the other side. So like after it dried, I put the slipcase to see if it closed. Then you just overlap it to the other side, the back end, to meet it. And it'll be enclosed. It looks a little floppy at first, but once you have the slipcase in there, it should give it shape. So you just basically dab all along the case. And then try to close it. This is going to be the most difficult because sometimes it can fall or you don't do it evenly enough. So after you do that, you just hold on to it. And I usually put my index fingers inward and hold the case with my thumbs and put my fingers and run it through there. And then on the exterior, use my thumbs to press against the outside and use my index fingers to press against the inside of the case once it's folded. And after that, after you get it synced in, just let it dry and you have yourself a slipcover. Thank you for enjoying this small tutorial on how to make a custom Blu-ray slipcover. I was very happy after my second attempt for my first slipcover that I ever made with Titans. And it goes well with the shelf. If you have like a Blu-ray case that's damaged, or you got some at like Big Lots or a Dollar Tree and you feel like, hey, I kind of want to have a slipcover to go with it. Or if you make films and burn it on a Blu-ray or DVD disc, you can do this. But let me know if this video helps you. And yeah, for fellow Titans fans that felt gypped, this is a way to make a custom slipcover for the recent release. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Till next time.